He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of Fair Gotham, and welcome back once again to Bat Minute Forever, the show that has given you all a new, better, more hopeful dream. I am one of your hosts, John. Hello.
Hey, it's me here again, observing passionate kisses like a crusty old butler. It's me. It's Niall McGowan.
I don't know whether that was just my ears being strange, but it sounded like you went a bit Sean Connery and said kisses.
Yes, absolutely passionate kisses.
S with an H. Go and listen to that on YouTube, everybody. Is it John and Al?
I was actually considering, because those guys did so much stuff with Arnie. He's like, I'm going to have to ask them for next season if they want to come on.
Let's ask them.
They have to, because I don't know if their YouTube star has faded so much. They might be like, yeah, we'll happily come on to anything. Because back in the day, they were big. But now they might be like, oh, no, we're not as, YouTube.
Well, they got in loads of trouble with YouTube. Loads of their videos got taken down and stuff. So,
we'll see.
But we are joined by a filmmaker, a director, the one, the only, Natasha Kermani.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Hey. No problem whatsoever. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, and this is minute 117. The minute starts with Flappy Bird, and it ends with a sloppy wet snug.
When you put it that way.
Let's get the ASMR on the go, people.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, this is the last of Jim Carrey. We're done. We're done with this guy. Well, I'm sure in the hiatus we'll be covering a lot of Jim Carrey movies, but still.
Oh, you better believe we're covering Jim Carrey movies. But now, can I just say, I'm not as big a fan of Dumb and Dumber as you. So.
Oh no, we'll be covering the rarer movies than that. I think.
Good. I don't want to be doing.
It's once bitten, all the time.
You got to do the mask.
I think the mask needs to be if we're picking a big one, it's the mask, right? Because it's kind of similar to the Riddler.
I was thinking more just the Cable Guy, because it's such a contentious movie.
Oh, yeah.
And listeners, how much I genuinely love the Cable Guy. I don't care what anyone says about it.
There's a lot of people, though. Like, this season, I think that's getting its renaissance now, where people are like, oh, no, the Cable Guy is good. Like, every time he posts about it in the listeners' cave, it usually gets comments of people going, I love the Cable Guy and stuff. So it has this
It's got a reputation for being bad, but I don't think I've personally met people who hate it.
I don't know anybody who hates it. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was one of those things that was negatively reviewed at the time, and then everyone who saw it as like a young person was like, that was great. What are you talking about?
They just weren't ready. That is a movie for millennials, okay? Because we grew up on like Courage the Cowardly Dog and freaking, cartoons that were really dark, and so we were ready for the Cable Guy. But
I'm a Ren and Stimpy kid.
Exactly, Ren and Stimpy, like really very dark. Even Hey Arnold was like pretty dark.
Yeah. And then as I got a bit older, I was probably a little bit older than the target audience, but I liked Joan and Vasquez's Invader Zim. I mean, there's an episode where the alien is stealing people's organs to stuff inside his body because he thinks more organs equals more human. I can go undetected if I stuff myself with livers and lungs.
So
and it's horrid, and he's so full of organs, he just burps and they come out of his mouth, and it's like, oh...
They call that robot as like Gert or something, wasn't it? Like Gort?
Gur.
Yeah, Gur. There you go. Yeah. So remember, actually, previous guest of the show, Polly Preston, was obsessed with Invader Zim for a long time, so I always associate it with her now.
Oh, I was. I imported the DVDs from America. It wasn't even on English telly. I was like, I'm importing it. I don't care.
Good.
But this isn't Invader Zim Minute. That's coming soon.
Like we're going. So we get our last final glimpses of Edward Nygma here. So bye.
Flapping away, flapping and flapping.
It's
and
weird because I feel
flapping.
I'll miss him more than Two-Face. When Two-Face was gone, I was like, yeah, it's him. He's done. But like, everyone goes, oh, we'll miss it. I was up and down Jim Carrey the whole movie, but I was like, no, I still appreciated the work, appreciated the effort.
Plus, it's a different kind of end for him. Like Two-Face, he falls, he dies. You kind of don't see him. You see his hand. You're like, okay, well, that's the end of him. Whereas Edward's fate is much worse. It's darker. He's totally messed up. You'd rather just die.
Of course, Two-Face fell victim to Batman's greatest asset throughout all these movies, gravity. The amount of people he takes out by just like them falling off a thing.
And his insistence on deniability.
Yeah.
Really? Seriously? I mean, I think there's a whole, like a textbook on morality with this freaking, his tactics, some of his tactics.
So you are with us. He murdered Two-Face.
He murdered Two-Face, absolutely, 100%.
And then the moral of the story is what? Like, oh, Dick Grayson, don't you kill this guy. You don't want to do that. I'll kill him for you. Don't worry. Like,
No. He killed himself, Niall. Come on. I mean, Batman just threw the coins. He didn't know he'd fall off.
It even kind of seems in a bizarre way like it's kind of ableist because like you've used this guy's own sort of shortcoming to kill him. It's like
it's his own trauma. It's the expression of his trauma. It's very bad. It's a very bad.
As we've said though, every Batman seems to do this at least once.
Batman breaks his own rule constantly.
I remember the amount of times in like the animated series he'd like kick the Joker off a speeding train. And then it would just cut the shot of Batman standing there like, yeah, that's right. I was like, I thought you weren't supposed to kill anybody. What the hell?
No,
yeah, but he didn't kill him, Niall. Gravity killed.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing, though. I did mention, again, all these things that have popped up in recent weeks following the passing of... Actually, this thing actually popped up before Joel Schumacher passed, but... Because we mentioned that on the commentary, he says, like, oh, we wanted to keep Two-Face's fate ambiguous in case they ever wanted to bring him back. It's like, yeah, nothing ambiguous about it. He's very clearly dead.
He dead.
Yeah, but recently they have brought out previously unseen pictures of Tommy Lee Jones in the Arkham straitjacket and stuff. One of them is very blatantly like, oh, that would have been for his file. Like, it's obviously a mugshot. But there's one of him standing at like the cell door, like kind of peering out. And it's from going through those scripts and stuff. It's like, I don't know where that would have ever appeared. Like, maybe it was shot for when the newspapers were doing like, dense left brain damage, made them obsessed with killing Batman. They could have had maybe they're planning to put a file photo of him in Arkham in that scene, and they just didn't. Or it could be that maybe there was supposed to be a bit of him in Arkham at the end of this that Joel Schumacher decided to cut. God only knows.
Sometimes they just shoot things as well to go like, well, we might use it. Yeah. Like he's already in the costume and we've got the set. So I don't know, just take a photo and then we'll figure out if we need it.
Because there is a lengthy bit in the novelization at the beginning where you see him murder a guard to escape. But that's not in the script. And in the shot version of it, the guard isn't killed. So it's like, maybe they shot some variation of that, and that's where it comes from.
Yeah, that seems likely.
But yeah, as of I'm sure people in the listeners' cave would have seen it because I posted it as soon as it popped up because it was the Nygma Tech Archives on Facebook. They're just like, yeah, we have these. Here they are. And we went to Neil Ricketson, the 1995 Batman.com guy who was on a couple weeks back. And he was like, I'd never seen this. So it was new to him as well. So it was crazy that this random Facebook page just had these photos and they didn't mention where they got them.
Mysterious.
One thing, though, we've been keeping under a hat, not deliberately, but of course also another thing, I think we've not mentioned it the entire season somehow, is that, of course, on Two-Face's coin, the scratching is a HD. I don't think we ever brought that up. It was one of those.
Did we not mention that? What the hell?
I keep feeling like it was a thing I kept meaning to bring up and discuss, and I think I just kept forgetting every time. But yeah, it was from the first instance of seeing the coin. I was like, oh, I should bring up that it's a HD, and we never brought it up. And so there it is. That Two-Face has a HD and little scratches that look like they're acid from. His writing. You
can barely read it though, unless you know. I think you'd be like, eh.
An H, like as in his initials initials HD?
Yeah. So I guess Harvey Dent's on the side of the coin or whatever. But another thing.
I never noticed that.
in that same vein, kept meaning to bring up and just never did, is that because now we get the final scene here. They don't say anything to each other, but Michael Goff and Val Kilmer, and of course these two guys worked together on Top Secret, previous to this movie.
Yeah,
they shared quite a bit of screen time in Top Secret actually, and it was again one of those things. Is like, oh, every scene they're in, almost bring up Top Secret. Every time the episode got away from us. So here we go now. Those two guys have worked together previously. I'm sure a lot of people do have a lot of affection for Top Secret, but if you listen to our Johnny Dangerously episode, you might not be surprised to learn that I'm not a big fan of Top Secret. It's just not my forte, that movie.
Did Doug, our guest on that episode, like it? I can't remember.
I know he loved Johnny Dangerously, but it's that same
I
theme.
love Johnny Dangerously. That was amazing. If you haven't listened to that episode, people, go and check it out, because that was a great film.
Are you a fan of that kind of humor, Natasha? Like the
spoof kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's not my favorite. Not really. I mean, I would prefer to just watch like a James Bond movie and giggle at the like silly things in a James Bond movie, you know?
I think the spoof movie was kind of ruined, though. And I'm not going to diss this film too much, right? But when Scary Movie came along, it started a trend of rip-off films that completely destroyed that whole genre of film.
Right.
Like, it's no longer the realms of Naked Gun.
No.
Now you're thinking of stupid bloody... What are they even called, some of those? There's like Epic Movie.
Right. Not
movie.
Another teen movie. Although that movie has one very, very funny... They all have like one very, very funny thing, you know? Like one scene that works really well. But no, it's certainly not my favorite. I mean, I'll say Airplane is pretty great.
Yeah.
Naked Gun. Naked Gun is a classic. But
Hey, and I don't care if anyone laughs at me, I love Spy Hard. And I also like Dracula Dead and Loving It. Also Leslie Nielsen again.
Leslie Nielsen's the king of that, though. So he lends a veneer of quality to everything, I feel.
But Airplane comes first, right? Airplane comes before the Leslie Nielsen movies, or is that not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He is in Airplane as well, anyway. So
that's right. Yeah. Before.
But I thought weird enough, I don't like a lot of those movies, but I do love Airplane. I don't know, maybe that's just like, oh, they got it perfect the first time. You don't need to make more of these.
Yeah, it's like the OG, exactly.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's clever stupid jokes, if that makes sense. Whereas too many of them, especially these days, it's like, let's just reference a thing that happened this year. That's not funny.
Right.
The one thing from Top Secret that I always really remember, and it's because like this predates like Twin Peaks and stuff. But there's that bit where they go to talk to Peter Cushing, and he's got a magnifying glass up to his eye, and he takes it down, and it just turns out he's got like, because you think you're just seeing him with a really big eye because it's in front of a magnifying glass, but it turns out he's got this crazy warped giant eye, and then the whole scene is done in that backwards speak, and you're like, they're doing the Black Lodge before the Black Lodge. What the hell's going on in this movie? This is crazy.
Right.
David Lynch was clearly a fan.
Yeah, he saw it and he recognized the potential.
No one ever spotted my whole shtick was ripped off from Top Secret.
Top Secret.
Everything he's ever done, even stuff beforehand.
But that's the thing, though. I feel it's quite appropriate that Michael Goff be here as well, because he's classic Hammer horror gothic guy. So if you have a giant Arkham Asylum looming behind him, it's appropriate that he is there, just to be like,
And I really think we should talk about this tree, which is like so Tim Burton-y, this beautiful, like, creepy, spooky tree that we pan down. We're sort of tilting down from the tree down to Bruce and Alfred and everything. It just feels very Tim Burton to me as well. Continuing that the sequence is like really in his ethos.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I just think that tree is really cool.
But also because I was reading an interview with Michael Goff. This is a side tangent, but I was like, oh, this is so sad. Because again, he obviously worked on Top Secret with Peter Cushing, but those guys went back to like the Hammer horror stuff, the reason he got hired for Batman by Tim Burton. It's like, oh, he was a fan of all my Dracula stuff and things like that. But he was saying like, because he was really good friends with Peter Cushing, Michael Goff. And he's like, yeah, we used to meet up with him. And, he really, really loved his wife. And then his wife died. And it was just like, I never really kept in touch with him much after that. But he just said, the little quote from him on talking about Top Secret was like, yeah, I did one film with him after his wife died. And I said to him, how are you? How's everything? And we just didn't really speak. But then as I left, I said, Peter, I'm off now. I'm away. Good luck with the rest of the film. And he said, I'm finished too, but I can't talk now. I've got to go home and talk to Helen. And like she was dead, but he used to go home to talk to her all the time. It's like, that's so sad that Peter Cushing's life was like that. But,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's really sad. Wow.
That's awful.
Yeah. It affected me so much midweek. It's like, I have to bring this up in the episode. It's so goddamn sad. But,
wow.
But of course, actually, Michael Goff worked with Val Kilmer, but he also worked on a version of A Christmas Carol with Joanne Whaley, who of course was married to Val Kilmer, who was divorcing Val Kilmer in the middle of this movie. So bit awkward. I don't know. It was like, oh, I know your wife. It's like, well, I won't know her for much longer.
Nah, it's the 90s. You have to go awkward.
Awkward. That's wild. Wait, so Val Kilmer was getting divorced during the filming of this movie?
Apparently, him and Jim Carrey were both going through divorces, and that apparently they bonded over that and the death of their dads.
How does that bond you? That you're both getting divorced?
I guess maybe at the time you're like, I'm going through the same stressful stuff you are, man. Like, right. I'm getting sent through the ringer. I'm just like, every day I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I could imagine.
I guess if
you're the only other guy on set who is like, he's going through exactly what I'm going through, they might bond over that, but. I think we recently lost their dads as well. So it's like, oh yeah, there would be a kinship between these two fellas. But
wow.
Again, that's quite sad as well. In the midst of tragedy.
This minute is dark.
Oh. Well, people who are in the dark outside the asylum here, we see Bruce and Alfred, just chilling, just waiting. They've clearly sent Chase in as like a scout. You scout ahead. You find out the info.
Hanging out with the long forgotten Batman cast member, the Mist. The old Gotham Mist has reappeared for like.
I have missed it in this movie.
Missed? Mm-hmm. You missed it, did you?
I was trying to be clever and thought that would go under the radar.
Damn it. That's shut up. You didn't forget about your old buddy Mist, did you?
Oh no, it was sorely missed. We needed it, and it's here.
Oh.
But Bruce's secret is safe because Nygma is definitely a WHACKO. Scientific.
WHACKO. Yeah. I love when her Australian accent comes through, by the way. It happens a few times sort of throughout the course of the movie, but I just think it's so cute. I find it very endearing.
There's someone who I mentioned it the other episode recently. I watched a Mel Gibson movie recently. I know, cancelled. But he's someone, when I was watching it, I just 100% forgot he was Australian. He never slips. I don't know what it is. I think that's the tragedy. It's like, oh, he's actually a really good actor and stuff, but he's just a jackass.
Insane, yeah.
It's just like every movie he brings out, too, you always get the critics going like, say what you will about the man's personal life, but he's a very charismatic screen presence, and he's very enjoyable in this film.
That's the problem.
Yeah, he is a good actor. But I think she's also, this is still pretty early for her, right? She's probably done mostly Australian stuff. I might be talking out of my ass here. Let's see. What year is this? 1995?
This is 95. So she's on, I think she'll start getting taken really seriously when To Die For comes out after this movie. So it's like, I think the immediate next film is To Die For, and then that's Nicole Kidman is an actress. Like, she's not just a pretty face who's married to Tom Cruise. She's like a proper, force to be reckoned with.
To be honest, from our perspective, we've loved her in this. Whereas I never, before we did Minute by Minute, I never thought about Chase Meridian before.
No, she's great. And that's a tough role, too, because she's just like a horn dog and just really heavy. She comes on heavy, but somehow Nicole Kidman, I think she pulls it off. I think she's very charming.
I think because she makes it believable, as in she makes it seem like, okay, this is a character who she's come into town, she's got a job to do, she's very intelligent, she's got a lot going on, but she's a sexual being who just wants a piece of Batman. That's fine.
Yeah.
Especially now thinking of the closing minutes, just when you said Horndog, Natasha, because thinking of like the closing minutes of Batman Returns when like Bruce found the cat in the alleyway. It was left by Selina for him, or coincidental or whatever. But like we never see that cat again. They should have had that cat in the movie, just like roaming around Wayne Manor. But they could have called that cat Corndog, because Selina Khan used to always go Corndog, Corndog.
Yeah.
And then the next movie, there's a second cat, and he's like, "That's Corndog, that's Horndog. That's named after my other girlfriend, Chase."
I love it. Well, listen, a cat would have a great life on Wayne Manor. I think there's lots of like mice and spiders and lots of things for it to like kill and chase and stuff. So, but I also,
Chase.
Chase, yeah. I also love I was thinking a little bit about how Batman is so set in this noir, sort of like detective noir world, and her costumes are really fun, but this is a really, really retro look, and I think it's really cool. The Veronica Lake thing that you were talking about earlier, but also just like the shape of her suit and all that is very throwback with the old car. It's just very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know too, like Joel Schumacher is a guy started off at like costumes and set design and stuff. Like he knows exactly what he's doing. I imagine he was as enthusiastic about this as anybody else on set.
Yeah, I've loved all the costumes in this. The only thing is sometimes we've talked about how this one feels 90s, this movie. Like the Burton ones, you can't place when they're set. Some of this, it's like, oh, it's the 90s. But this particular sort of sequence reverts back. Like, there's the car, there's the building, there's her outfit. It's like, oh, when is this?
I love it. Yeah, I think it's great. It's very filmic.
The fact too is because she was dressed in a lot of very dark, muted colors the whole movie. Now she's in this bright red. I don't know if they're going for something there. But the only thing I could think of was like, he kisses her, and she's in kind of rose-colored clothes. Is this the kiss from a rose that the song is alluding to in some way?
Yes.
Oh my god! Wow. Yes. I'm gonna say yes. She is the rose.
Oh, it's amazing.
Wow. Wow.
And I like that Bruce as well here. He calls her out like on her ableism for saying wacko.
Yeah.
But she just laughs it off. Good God.
I know, it's very unprofessional for her to say that. It's not
twice.
okay.
She said it earlier.
But we had verification from Christy Porter when she was on earlier in the season, because she's involved in psychoanalysis herself. And she spent most of her episodes just talking about like, oh, Chase Meridian's a hack. Like everything she's doing, everything about her just indicates that she's
100%. She's trying to sleep with her patients. Which is a big no-no, obviously. And then
That's one of the worst things you could do.
Absolutely. And then she even says, she's like, at one point, I think she says, like, I've always been attracted to the wrong kind of man. I mean, look at the work I do. And you're like, no.
If there's one person who shouldn't be attracted to these men, it's you.
These are your clients. These are your patients.
She's
exploiting them, really.
Exactly.
Like, like someone who's like a bricklayer, like, I've always been attracted to walls. I mean, just look at the work I do. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. Laying them bricks.
I will say, though, that this is a nice little bookend, though, because this is, the end of Chase Meridian, the character. Like, she never gets mentioned. I think she was mentioned in an online comic as a psychiatrist for the Riddler in the mid-2000s. That's about the extent of her legacy after this. But as a nice little bookend, and the fact that like she was chasing the Meridian, the halfway point between Bruce and Batman, and the first time they met, he was in his Batman outfit, and he had his other, his counterpart, Commissioner Gordon, in the background.
His counterpart, R2-D2.
Yeah, but like, Batman and Gordon were met when Bruce first met Chase Meridian, and now they're saying goodbye, and it's like Bruce and his counterpart, Alfred, are there. And it's a nice little like, it's bookending the relationship for us in a weird way.
Although, do you think that Bruce here handing back the Dream Warden is a good thing, right? Because he's saying he doesn't need it anymore, he's cured, blah blah blah. It's showing he's moved on. That's what they all say, exactly. Could it also be a bad thing? Like he's ignoring the problem, he's assuming he's fine now. It's a bit like an alcoholic who hasn't drank in a week. And they're like, oh, I'm fine now. I can go to the pub. It's all right. I haven't touched a drop. No, it's a process. You got to keep going.
This again, if this was more of a 90s movie, this would go into a whole Seinfeld thing too. It's like, you're de-gifting to me? Like, I gave you this gift. It's like, now I'm giving it back. Well, you can't just de-gift after you've received the gift.
But somebody else might need it more.
You know what I think it is? Because we never see Chase Meridian again, much like we never saw Vicky Vale again. And she was sent in to make sure that there's no loose ends with Edward Nygma. Now Bruce and Alfred are out there. Alfred's got a shovel in the back seat. He's watching this goodbye kiss, knowing I'm gonna crack her over the skull in about 10 seconds.
Man.
And the only evidence that Bruce Wayne ever knew Chase Meridian is like, oh, she gave me that gift that one time. Here, take this back. And like, we never met. We don't know each other, okay?
Well, they are lurking sort of suspiciously here. Where are they going to take her in that car?
Yeah.
Into the middle of nowhere, bury her in the woods.
No, you bring up a very good point. I mean, I'm convinced, actually, that that's what's going on. Because that smile from Alfred, I mean, something's up. Something is up.
I know, I just put Alfred... Because they kiss, a dirty, sloppy, messy kiss, and Alfred loves it. I thought, he's just happy for Bruce, but now I'm thinking... He can't wait to bash that skull.
He's getting ready. Yeah, he's getting ready. Wow,
I do like what Bruce says, though. He's like, thank you for giving me a new dream. Aww. And her acting's great, because she looks genuinely, like, deeply... Like, she's thinking about what's going on. And she is totally analyzing everybody throughout this movie and every interaction that she has with them. You can see her internal sort of clock ticking.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, what's happening here? What's his angle? What's he thinking? And I know you probably shouldn't be doing that in your normal day-to-day interactions, but as we said, she's a bit of a weird, kind of non-professional.
She is. If she wasn't Nicole Kidman, she'd be in jail.
But should actually mention as well, though, in the Bachelor draft, like the very first draft of the movie, this was the only scene where it was apparent that Chase Meridian knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman. There was never any revelation. I think actually there's a point where after the bit where like Two-Face says like, "Oh, thank you, Bruce. You've always been a true friend." There's supposed to be a beat after that where Chase goes, "Did he just call you Bruce?" And Batman's like, "No, of course not," and walks away. And I was reading that going, she still hasn't figured it out, for the love of Christ.
And that's when Alfred bashes her skull. I'll take care of it, sir. Once more.
It's all a little secret. Yeah, I actually was wondering when she figures it out, but I guess it's supposed to be between, you know, the death of Two-Face and her going to visit Riddler. She figures it out. Yeah,
I think in the finished movie it's when he kisses her before the Riddler and Two-Face invade Wayne Manor.
Oh, and she's like, "I recognize that kiss." Yeah. You're right.
They give her a little bit more dignity there. It was like, well, she figured it out then, at least.
Right.
And of course, the novelization, they had a whole different spin on Chase Meridian, where she actually knew really early in the relationship, but she was just stringing Bruce along out of like a weird, almost villainous sort of like, I just want to see where this goes. I know he's Batman, clearly, but like he doesn't know that I know he's Batman, so I'm just going to mess around with this guy and keep him going.
I think that's fun. Actually.
Yeah, I love it. And speaking of drafts, the Goldsman draft is different here as well. There's no Bruce.
Oh, that's they do. Yeah, it's a deleted scene actually as well. Yeah, because they do a much more immediate kind of throwback to the first two movies, where it's like the first movies, Vicky Vale is picked up by Alfred, and they have their like, you know, "Oh, Mr. Wayne told me to tell you might be a little late." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not a bit surprised." And then, of course, second movie, Batman lost the girl in that one. So, it's just Bruce, and they go, you know, "Merry Christmas, Alfred. Oh, come what may, Merry Christmas, Master Wayne," and all that business. And, but yeah, sorry, go ahead, John. Sorry, I cut in on you there.
Hey, no, you had a good point. I didn't even make the connection between the previous two movies. I didn't even think of that. That's great. But, so there's no Bruce. It's just Alfred again. And Chase comes out, and she's like, where's Bruce? And Alfred says, you know, "He asked me to convey his deepest apologies, Dr. Meridian, but he wanted me to give you this." And he hands the dream doll back.
Oh.
It's the same situation there. He says, you know, to say thank you for it. But then Chase notices the bat signal in the sky. And she says, "Does it ever end, Alfred?" "No, miss. not in this lifetime. I quite like that because it's like, you're not going to be a thing, you two.
Yeah. And also, what's the title of the movie? Batman Forever. So it doesn't.
He
forever.
It goes
He
on
is
forever.
Batman forever.
But that's it. That's also in that virtual work print that they have this scene, and then Chase gets in the car, and her and Alfred have that little interaction. But like, yeah, it's weird that like Schumacher is keeping that up for this movie. And then, of course, the next one is like, we're going to need a bigger cave, and all that goofy coming up.
Throwing in Jaws jokes.
I can tell you're really excited to get into Batman and Robin and all that.
I'm so happy that we're getting to it because I think it's going to be wild. I think half the guests are going to be drunk. I think it's going to be weird.
But of course, you're welcome back for Batman and Robin and Natasha.
Weird, but you know, it's just its own thing. It's its own thing. You have to kind of let go of what came before and just embrace the kooky.
Yeah. But just a little thing though, because this is the last we see of Nicole Kidman, because she went, of course, from strength to strength after this movie. Since Batman Forever, she has won 5 Golden Globes, a BAFTA, 2 Emmys. And she was the first Australian woman to win an Oscar. So she's got that. And she was also number 1 in the UK singles charts in 2001 with Robbie Williams. She and him.
Oh, yeah.
They did a duet of cover of Something Stupid.
I forgot all about that.
Really?
What the hell?
Yeah, you look it up. That was a big hit over here.
So we're going to cover that on the Patreon.
Because Christmas number 1's inexplicably a huge deal over here, and that was the 2001 Christmas number 1. So fair play to Nicole Kidman. Of course, after that she would have a lot of other troubles in her life, because I actually looked into, weird enough, because we never really got into her whole thing with Tom Cruise and the Scientology element, but apparently she got to OT2, which is operating Thetan 2, which is like you have to dump like $5,000 or something into Scientology to get to that level. And they've got a whole big thing about it. Apparently, in the first 2 years of her marriage to Tom Cruise, she was very, very heavily into Scientology. And then, after that, she just lost interest and didn't want anything to do with it and stuff. Tom Cruise also went away from Scientology in the mid-90s. If you look into OT3, that's when all the Xenu stuff pops up. So it could have been she got to OT3 and she's like, fuck this. I'm done.
She's like, wait a minute, that's what that was about?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And plus, her dad's also a psychiatrist, so they're probably trying to separate her from her family and stuff as well. And apparently then, because if you watch the terrific documentary Going Clear,
I loved it. Yeah.
But they have Marty Rathbun, of course. He was one of he was a guy who left Scientology. I think he's back with them now, but he used to be one of their enforcers. And he came
Apparently
out.
He's back.
Yeah, and he was out spilling all the tea afterwards. And he's the guy who takes credit for breaking up Nicole Kidman. And Tom Cruise is like, I tapped her phone, and we decided that we needed him as the face of the organization, and we need to get him away from her. So because he was not interested in Scientology, and so Marty Rathbun audited Tom Cruise into dumping his wife, basically.
So crazy! Wow.
Yeah, and since then their 2 children apparently don't speak to her because she's an SP, a suppressive person.
Oh, do they still not? Come on.
Yeah, and Nicole is actually very sad. She's like saying like, yeah, they're adults and I love them, but like, yeah, they don't talk to me and stuff. But and Leah Remini's been talking about like, Tom Cruise doesn't say nice things about Nicole when he's around people and stuff. And it's like, but of course now she's gone on. She's had other children with Keith Urban.
She's doing her thing.
She's doing great now. Yeah, Nicole Kidman's a real powerhouse in Hollywood.
But even so, your kid's not right. This is the reason Scientology screwed up. I don't care if the Scientologists come for me now. Bring it on.
That would be bizarre if Scientology went after us for this episode of the podcast.
Who knows what they're up to?
But yeah, I think so. Obviously, then won an Oscar for playing Virginia Woolf in The Hours and stuff. And she got Big Little Lies, which is what. Because I keep getting that mixed up, is because there's Little Lies Everywhere is the new Reese Witherspoon thing. Reese Witherspoon is also in Big Little Lies, and then there's Pretty Little Liars, which is all these shows swirling around in the air.
Little and Lies. There's a lot of little liars and all that.
Yeah.
She's always been such a powerful actor. I think she has such a sort of strange career because I think she is so beautiful that it affected the roles she got. It's sort of like made everything a little bit different, I think, as compared to, an actress that maybe didn't get sort of pinholed in the way that she did because of the way she looks. But I've always thought she's a very, very powerful actor, and she always shows up in everything she does. So
yeah,
I'm a big fan.
I think it's funny you say that too, because I think in The Hours it was almost kind of famous at the time because she had the fake nose on to sort of make her. Yeah, so it could be you've hit the nail on the head right there.
The whole thing, right? Like Charlize Theron, had to do Monster, and it's like a little bit, I think that is changing. I think women are being taken more seriously, but I think she was during a time that, she had to kind of navigate it. But if you go back through her work, she's there. I mean, even in goofy stuff like Days of Thunder, she's doing the work. She has a 3-dimensional character with an inner life. And her own autonomy, and it's like sometimes very simple characters that she's bringing a lot of depth to. So I think she should be respected as one of our really great actors.
But yeah, so like we do see a split second of her in the next minute, but like as a farewell to Nicole. It's like, yeah, you go off and do your thing, lady. Like, you're doing a great job. I'm sure Nicole Kidman is happy to hear the Batman and feels that she's doing good work.
Yeah, I'm sure she does. She listens every week.
Yeah.
Right?
We support you, Nicole.
We love you.
But that's all I've got for this minute, though. Does anyone else have anything for this minute in particular?
I just want to say that I like his turtleneck. I think Val Kilmer can pull off the turtleneck and the high collar. So
he looks suave. He looks like he's in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. or something.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
But what's your do you have a history with this movie, Natasha? Like, were you raised on Batman Forever, or what's your emotions to it in general?
I would actually say this is probably the one that I've seen. Well, maybe not the least, but it's never really, like, I often forget that Val Kilmer played Batman. I think he's like pretty forgettable as Batman. No, I was definitely Tim Burton. The one for me is definitely Returns, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, I think like Jim Carrey stands out, but it's also, it's not The Mask, if it's between like watching him as the Riddler and watching him play The Mask, we're going to watch The Mask, Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess that's kind of why I was asking about if it's considered part of the trilogy, because it's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And it's not like quite one way or the other. Like at least Batman and Robin and all that, it's just like fully in ridiculous land. And this one, yeah, it's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So it's a bit tough. And then you have the absolutely absurd, like, Dick Grayson doing his laundry in the same movie. In the same movie as like these dark scenes with the Riddler with his brain fried, you're just like, whoa, what is the tone here? So I struggle with that a little bit. Yeah, no, I would say it's I watched it, but not as much as like Returns or some of the others. So
I should ask just quickly though, because we do have fixed questions for the guests. One, I don't understand the appeal of Chris O'Donnell as like a sexy presence, but apparently
because you're a freak.
Back in the 90s, he was hot to trot. Were you ever a Chris O'Donnell fan?
Not really. I mean, I think I was like briefly interested, but no, he was never really my cup of tea.
No.
I was more.
But like, you get that he was like the hot guy, right?
Yeah, I think it was like that. He's very like. There was like a whole bunch of them that were sort of in that. Sort of jock, like 90s jock thing.
Like the Matt Damons and the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was never really my cup of. I was more like, into the Johnny Depps or the Brad Pitts, the little sort of moodier guys. But I mean, he's not bad to look at. I'll say that.
But and I'm a major fan of the Batmobile in this movie, but a lot of people, including John, not so much. So where do you land with the Batman Forever mobile?
I don't really like it. I don't think it makes that much sense. I don't really get the design. I find it kind of illogical. I get that it feels flashy, like it feels like you would roll up to the club, in that Batmobile. But that's not the function of the Batmobile. So Yeah, I think I'm.
So do you hate the stupid fin?
Yeah,
because I hate that.
It's a design thing, you know, and you're like, what purpose is this serving? I don't understand.
This cheap, wobbly fiber.
Cheap, wobbly, awesome fin. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it just feels like it was meant to be sold with the McDonald's toys, you know, like that was the design of it. And I need something a little bit more utilitarian. So yeah, I'm with John on this one.
So I'm sitting looking at my little Hot Wheels toy of it, going like, don't listen to them.
You're beautiful.
But yeah, I guess at this point now would be the time, of course, to reveal the answer to the riddle from the beginning.
Oh yeah,
of the
tell
week.
us the riddle again so we can see if we can guess it.
Yeah. So I'm sure I remember it myself now. Riddle me this: how is a man in debt like a morning mist?
I don't know. Disappears quickly. That's not the answer.
Like a morning mist. Oh, jeez.
That's hard. That's too hard.
I bet it's something stupid and easy as well.
It's one of those. I got this off a website, but I'm fairly certain this is a Frank Gorshin one from the show. Because like it is one of those like, oh god. The answer is because they're both surrounded by dews.
No.
Oh, oh my god, that's stupid.
I'm disappointed in myself. I'm disappointed in you. I'm disappointed all around.
Yeah. I don't think I can come back next season. You finished me off.
I think that's what I'm going to miss the most next season. It's like, I don't get to annoy people with riddles anymore.
We'll try and think of something equally as irritating. It's fine. Jesus. But because of that, well, we will wrap up, but there is something coming. There is. Natasha, would you like to tell people one more time where you can be found on the interwebs?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Nata Kerm. And keep an eye out. We have a new movie coming out starring Bria Grant. And we'll be playing some virtual festivals through 2020. And then we'll be coming out on 2021 for you to enjoy the movie.
Ooh, virtual festival. This is even better for me.
Yeah, I know. It's a
As a lazy
new world.
person.
It's a brave new world. We're not going places. We're sitting on our couches and watching premieres. So
yeah, I think that now we're as of today, because of like the U.S. box office not counting cinemas anymore, it has to be all through drive-thrus. As of today, The Empire Strikes Back is the number one movie in the U.S. at the moment. So.
That's crazy in a great way. Oh, well, come and speak to us as well. You know where we are. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. Patreon. And come and buy a t-shirt on TeePublic or whatever you want. Buy a mug. I want someone to buy a mug. Nobody's bought a mug.
No one's enough of a mug to buy one of our mugs.
Oh. Or you can get like a travel cup and all kinds of stuff. But we will depart. But first off, Natasha, we must now toss a coin to decide your fate.
Oh, no.
Heads or tails for your survival.
Ooh.
Because you got the riddle wrong, you may now face extermination.
Okay. All right. I understand.
So what do you want to live? Heads or tails?
I'm going to go with tails.
Tails. Okay. Here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Tails, you live!
Hey, I made it!
Hey.
Trusty old tails. I knew it.
So you get to come back next season, and most importantly, you get to have a normal life. Which is possibly more important to you. I'm not sure where your priorities lie.
There's no such thing as a normal life in 2020, John, but...
As normal a life as one can lead in this day and age. So tune in next week for more episodes and another guest here on Batman Forever.
Next time, Charge of the Caped Crusaders. The chemistry of Kilmer and Kidman comes to a conclusion as their faces fade from the franchise like a sensual illusion. But as a slinky psychologist is chased off into the night, will the silhouettes of the city's savior and his adolescent sidekick send us off with a strut before a certain skylight? Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.